Welcome. This is Wacky Wednesday on the Arrowhead Addict channel. I'm the blog father, Adam Best, and as always, I'm joined by the golden voice of Sterling Holmes. Sterling, we didn't get to do a show last week. I was actually in a little car wreck. I'm fine. But it's good to be back with you, brother.
Yeah, I missed you. Are you semi-okay?
Yeah.
I can tell, like, right around this area, all looks messed up.
Yeah. I mean,
for those who are not watching, I was making a joke saying his face looked messed up.
Well played. Yeah. I'm good. Couple days of headaches and a couple trips to the chiropractor, and I'm back. I'm back in business. It was an uninsured guy who could barely communicate. Said he was coming from the hospital after having a procedure, and no one else could drive him. So yeah. You know, this is what like Uber is for, maybe, but
Rashee Rice is literally in Texas. What were you doing in Texas? An uninsured guy who just got out of a knee surgery shouldn't be driving, yet he was?
Right.
Wow.
And we're going to talk all about Rashee Rice today. I know you guys got some of that yesterday, but as you could probably guess, with this guy in this position, I have some thoughts. But before we get into that, we've got a little bit of business to get into.
Yeah, if your back's hurting, you should get a new bed. And if you want the best bed, go to Brooklyn Bedding. That will help your sleep. Sleep is the foundation for everything: your mood, your stamina, your brain power. After a long day or getting in a car crash, Brooklyn Bedding would be perfect for you. I love the cooling down factors that Brooklyn Bedding has as well. The Glaciotex TM. I don't even know what it means because I'm not a scientist. Shockingly, I'm not scientist Sterling. But what I do know as a user of Brooklyn Bedding, it keeps me cool. It's top tier quality, honest pricing, and real American craftsmanship. This is going to give you your best night's sleep. I believe it because I use it. It is outstanding. They also have a 120-night comfort trial. Love it, or they'll help you return it, swap it, hassle-free. It is easy, and it is outstanding. It's also, by the way, Best, one of the few mattress brands endorsed by the American Chiropractic Association for spinal alignment and back health. So boom, your back's hurting you, Brooklyn Bedding can help you out. Again, it keeps me cool. I keep my house a little toastier than most. Sorry, I like to save a buck or two. So what keeps me cool? The bed itself. And if you don't believe me, Brooklyn Bedding has been awarded the best mattress by CNET and best hybrid mattress by Wirecutter. So you know it's the real deal. All you need to do, go to brooklynbedding.com and use my promo code Arrowhead at checkout to get 30% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. That's brooklynbedding.com and promo code Arrowhead for 30% off site-wide. Support our show. Let them know we sent you after checkout. brooklynbedding.com, promo code Arrowhead.
These folks are legit. I already have like a bedding and a cooling system. So I have an uncomfortable sofa bed. It's a nice sofa, but you know sofa beds, they're uncomfortable. So they have all kinds of solutions. I looked through the site. They sent me I think it's a 4-inch mattress topper. Totally revolutionized this guest situation I have on my pullout sectional. So man, they're legit. They're legit. It's so comfortable. Like sometimes I just pull it out now to watch TV because it's
pause. Best, you just said you pull it out to watch TV, brother.
Well, you know,
get some help.
Hey, I grew up in the age of Skinamax, man. You know, so we will move on from that. This week's Hot Take Kingdom, our segment is the return of Hot Take Kingdom. The Chiefs are completely unserious about the wide receiver position. I would even say all their entire pass catching situation. Welcome to the kingdom. Yeah.
By the way, I like to picture Rashee Rice in jail, but like in an old timey cartoon. Like, he's in a jail cell and the sheriff with the big bushy mustache and like the cowboy hat is asleep, but like leaning back in the chair. And then Rashee like gets a broom to try and get the big ass ring of keys off of his belt buckle. Like that's what I'm picturing right now. Rashee Rice is at, like, he's in Texas with a cartoonish style key ring that he's trying to get out. And then he tries to tiptoe out like the piano noise. Like that's how he gets out. Right. And he looks at the camera. It's like, shh, he's sleeping.
One too many trips to Silver City, my friend, I think. But
do you think his favorite movie is Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Half Baked, maybe. I mean, I think his favorite movie is Fast and Furious. If we're really being honest.
See, Fast Times at Ridgemont High though gets both. You get the high joke and you get the fast joke.
Man, as someone who honestly just loves weed and doesn't drink at all, I really hate the way this makes marijuana look, because it's like in a lot of the country, including where the Chiefs play, it's not illegal. But if you get in trouble, if you get in such deep trouble that they're like, you can't drink, you can't smoke weed, you can't do this and that, you can't be out after 10 o'clock, that is your fault. You have to be in some serious shit to have those conditions of your probation. So I don't really feel sorry for him. This isn't Ricky Williams, who just came along at the wrong time in NFL history. Like if Ricky Williams came along now and he seems like a responsible guy in the grand scheme of things. No, this is a guy who is irresponsible in like literally everything he does. And go ahead.
Well, I guess though, you could also make the case that Patrick Mahomes and Rashee Rice are both doing rehab on their knee in Texas. Technically.
Technically.
One's in a jail cell and one's not, but I hear they have a really good rehab program in the Texas jail. I hear it's really good. I hear it's what you want.
Yeah, state-of-the-art recovery science. I'm not worried about that at all. Him using the 1986 freeway setup there in the yard, I heard yesterday on Patrick Allen's emergency stream, someone was giving him shit because he said prison instead of jail. Guys, he's going to be locked up for 30 days. One isn't better than the other. It's bad. And like, this is not the place to rehabilitate a knee. You want Rick Burkholder and that training staff or whoever he's working with in Texas, working with him around the clock.
Honestly, prison is probably better than jail for rehab. Realistically speaking, there's more resources in a prison than in a jail.
For sure.
It's just no, it's ideal. It's exactly what you want. This is what you want your Chiefs wide receiver one to be doing in a contract year that finally a contract year will be defeated. Well, and here's the thing. He wanted to get ready for St. Joe, because if you were in a jail bed, that's going to make the St. Joe dorm rooms feel huge by comparison. Like, this is just the precursor to make St. Joe look and feel way better, obviously.
It's like training in high altitude before an event that's in low altitude or regular altitude, right? That's what he's doing. It's 40 chess from Rashee Rice. But on a serious note, I think people got really mad this offseason. Some fans got really mad when some of us were very concerned about the domestic abuse allegations, right? This is not a Dave Merritt situation where you give him the benefit of the doubt and you wait and you say, okay, I guess that was nothing. Rashee Rice gets no benefit of the doubt, man. This guy has been a knucklehead, has been a consistent thorn in our side since the second he arrived. And these problems were with him at SMU, right? So where I want to start here is, yes, you have to be upset with Rashee Rice, but anyone expecting him to change his stripes, and this includes the team, is being foolish, because they're over-reliant on someone who's unreliable. And I think this was on draft night, on draft weekend. This is something that I think you, me, Patrick Allen were kind of really concerned about, because it's not just that. It's Travis Kelce. is ancient. I think he's going to have a pretty good season, but he's not what he was 5 years ago, where an offense can run through him and he can carry it on his back, right? Those days are over. This was a deep, deep, deep tight end class, and I like John Michael Gillenborg. I really do. I think he's a great UDFA, but he's a UDFA, right? And this is a loaded tight end class. They just chose not to participate. The rest of the league is all in on tight ends, not the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been ignoring that position. They have not really gone out and found a successor to Travis Kelce. And really, for a while, they were – when you move on from a Tyreek Hill and you decide you're not going to pay wide receivers big money, that's fine. But you have to do what these other teams are doing. You have to draft a guy in the top 3 rounds essentially every year if you're going to let them walk. And they were doing that. They did McCole, Sky. Kadarius was essentially traded for a 3rd-round pick, so he counts. You got Rashee, Worthy, and then they just stopped. Like Jalen Royals was a 4th-round pick last year. I'm not counting him. I'm not counting Cyrus Allen. By the way, Jalen Royals, I know a lot of people want to blame Matt Nagy or Connor Embry, but and want to say Andy Reid doesn't play rookie receivers. McCole Hardman had better players ahead of him and played and was a rookie during a championship run. He got on the field a lot. It took him half a season, kind of. Same thing with Sky Moore. Sky Moore got on the field. Jalen Royals could not get on the field ahead of Juju Smith-Schuster, the carcass of Juju Smith-Schuster, when they were already eliminated from the playoffs. Rookie receivers who don't play in their rookie year, the historical trend is nightmarish. Like, we cannot hope for the best, but expect the worst. And I think the problem here, and let's just mention Xavier Worthy's body holding up, right? With that body mass index, like we've seen guys like Tank Dell not hold up. Tyquan Thornton, really fun. I think he can kind of stretch the field for the running game, but he is kind of more of I don't want to say a decoy, but he's someone whose presence is going to open up the running game a little bit. But he had less than 20 catches last year, right? And so relying on this group was basically hope for the extreme best. I mean, not hope for it, expect it, right? And I just think this is a dangerous game they were playing. I just want to hear your thoughts now on going into the season with what looks like this group when we saw from far away that this was likely to bite them in the ass.
Yeah, I'm less angry about the draft because I don't think the pockets were quite there for the Chiefs necessarily. The thing that makes me the most irate, I think, is the Chiefs trusting Rashee when he's given you no reason to trust him by not bringing in any real free agent. Like, you brought back Tyquan Thornton, okay, but do you see what Juwan Jennings signed for? Like, that wasn't a large that was so much less than anyone expected. And you're telling me you couldn't pony up for that? Now, obviously, I think if this would have came out prior to Juwan signing, well, then, yeah, the Chiefs are probably in the Juwan Jennings sweepstakes. But the point still remains. This showed the Chiefs clearly trusted Rashee to stay out of trouble. Well, that's a losing bet. What has he shown you? He's shown you he's going to get into trouble. He's going to be in TMZ. He's going to have more time in jail than games played. Like, at some point, the Chiefs need to be culpable as well for having that much faith in a guy who has shown you time and time again who he is, or at least what he does off the field. I have less of an issue in the draft than I do with them. I think Juwan Jennings is the real name I go to because of the contract as low as it was, because now you're looking at guys that are all have some sort of question mark in one way or another.
Definitely. I've got some thoughts on the draft and kind of like choose your own adventure routes they could have gone, because I think one natural reaction from fans is to say, well, what would you have done? And I think Juwan Jennings is an interesting name to throw out there. I think Michael Pittman, for me, is the obvious name. They got him a sixth for a seventh. And yeah, you have to pay the guy, but you know what his hobby is? His hobby is not pretending he's playing Grand Theft Auto. His hobby is flying planes. He is a model citizen. He plays through pain. He's reliable. He's been productive despite a horrendous revolving door of quarterbacks there in Indianapolis. For me, that was the guy they could have gone and got. But if the consequence of mortgaging the house to go get cornerback Mansour Delane, who I really like, but now when you trade up to get him and sacrifice, I don't know, other picks. If you have that third round pick, if you have that 74th pick, there's a lot you could do. You could wait to take an edge. You could take a corner there, but you could have selected Jordan Tyson at 6 was the first thing you could do. And I'm really high on Jordan Tyson. I know some people are worried about the injuries. So if you don't like Tyson, what I think they could have done was selected Ruben Bain at 9. They haven't been good at finding edges, right? For the most part. So you take him. I personally don't think him lasting to 15 is some referendum on Ruben Bain. I think NFL general managers don't have job security, and the narrative about his arms got so out of control that they didn't want to lose their job over it, right? I think that's what happened. And then if you do that, you keep the 29th pick, you pick a corner later. You can still pick R. Mason Thomas. You pick Omar Cooper Jr. Now, I really like Peter Woods. So, but I think Omar Cooper Jr. at 29 is the same archetype of player. So there are things you could have done. There are even guys a little bit later. There are tight ends who could have given you some of the same functional productivity out of the slot and some of those short routes. They just didn't really do anything. And I think one thing we should say here is sometimes we treat Rashee Rice like a star. And I think some of that is because Kansas City's on TV a lot. I think the fantasy space, he's been so productive in fantasy. But if you look at his ADOT and you look at just the way he wins, he doesn't win like other star receivers, guys. Like, he is a good player, but this is not a bona fide, well-rounded wide receiver one. This is not a true alpha. This is a guy that really struggles to run the full route tree. He doesn't defeat man coverage, really. I mean, he hasn't expanded his game like we had hoped. And part of that is a byproduct of him being in trouble, being injured, just the circus around him. It's probably been hard to focus on football round the clock, year round. And you also look at the other guys. Worthy's not a complete receiver, not even close. Tyquan Thornton definitely isn't. So they don't have that guy. What I want to look at is just the overall strategy, from this regime, really ownership, head coach, front office, the holy trinity of Reed, Hunt, and Veach. The strategy with wide receiver is ownership cast restraints causing some of this, contributing to some of this, because they're also not spending on corners. I still feel like they're not pushing the cap like they could, even still being relatively safe. Is this, if you don't think it's that, is this a front office philosophy? Is this Andy Reid, the way he's, if you look back at some of those teams with, was it Todd Pinkman? Wasn't that like Pinkston? I'm confusing him with Jesse Pinkman from Breaking Bad, but I mean that's how long ago it was and how relatively insignificant of a player he was, but that was their top receiver. So Andy Reid has never been one of these guys that is like, yeah, he had Terrell Owens for a hot minute, but he's never been one of these guys that is just like really, really valued the position if you look at his entire career.
I think a lot of it is, I think less Clark Hunt. We can make that case, but that's not just strictly wide receiver. That's just team.
Correct.
I think it's more Veach and Andy related, and I don't think it's the worst decision necessarily. It's why I don't think it was the worst decision to not spend a lot of money or resources at running back, well, until you go too far. And it feels like the Chiefs have gone too far. Because you look at Tom Brady and the Patriots and what they did with their dynasty for so long. Yeah, they had Randy Moss for like a year. it's not like Wes Welker or Danny Amendola were these superstars. They were good players, but it was never like they were the highest paid guy. What they weren't Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or Puka Nacua or Amon-Ra St. Like they weren't those guys. So I think the Chiefs are trying to follow that blueprint more so than other ones. And I think it's a smart way of going about it. Your quarterback can elevate receivers. They can't elevate their offensive line or the defense. And what did the Patriots do? They sunk a lot of resources into defense and the offensive line, keeping Tom Brady upright, give him time. He'll find maybe lesser than wide receivers. Okay. But at the same token, the game has evolved and changed and adjusted. And just because Patrick won a Super Bowl with bad wide receivers doesn't mean that that's the blueprint going forward. Now, I don't hate them spending more resources overall, comparatively speaking, on defense and O-line than, weapons. But at the same time, wide receiver was an issue last year. It's been an issue for a couple of years. Going into this year, it was going to be an issue. And that was even with having faith in Rashee. Even with Rashee thinking, hey, he might be able to play 17 games and be out of trouble, there was still that thought of they probably still need one more wide receiver. Well, now they definitely do, right? And so I just keep going back to the philosophy that I think Brett Veach has, which is there are certain positions we don't pay because we think we can win on the margins. Cornerback, wide receiver, and it was running back. But not anymore because they paid running back. Cornerback, we don't draft first rounders. And then McDuffie, and then they saw how good that worked. Well, now we're going to try it again with Mansour Delane. Wide receiver, yeah, but they've never drafted a wide receiver that high. 29 is a lot different than 6. Second round's a lot different than even 22. I think it was time for them to make a move at wide receiver, and they just didn't do it. I don't think it's the cash restraints necessarily. It's the fact that they're paying Chris Jones, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Nick Bolton, and oh, by the way, now they're paying a running back in Kenneth Walker, the second highest paid kicker in Harrison Butker. I mean,
Karlaftis.
I mean, they're paying so many guys. You have to cut back somewhere. And the Chiefs have chose to cut back from corner, contract-wise, and wide receiver. You're going to cut back somewhere, and it is what it is. Once Kelce retires or Chris Jones retires, they move him for the contract, I bet they do sink some more money into wide receiver. The issue is you got to find that guy first.
Yeah, and you're not going to find him with 4th and 5th round picks and not doing anything in the trade market, not doing anything in free agency for 2 years. It's just not going to cut it. And especially when I know some people disagree on this, but I am 100% out on re-signing Rashee Rice. I have been for some time. And I was like that before this. So if the Chiefs, if that was kind of their plan, if we can get, that's not a plan at all. I think you hit the nail on the head though. And for me, I see what you're saying about the Patriots blueprint. You didn't mention the name Rob Gronkowski, who's in the argument for greatest tight end of all time. I
didn't because Travis Kelce.
Right.
The reason why
now that's over, right? Now Travis Kelce is not Travis Kelce anymore.
Sure, but the reason why I didn't bring him up was because Travis and Gronk. That was the reason why I didn't.
Clear parallel up to now, but after Gronk retired, that's when the fall off started happening for the Patriots. And I think the thing about the 2022, 2023 back-to-back championship seasons, they might have had the wrong takeaway. Correlation does not equal causation. Just because Mahomes can win Lombardis with Juju, Watson, Sky, Kadarius McColl, and MVS does not mean that's optimal. He's the greatest player of all time. So my question is, why are we building around a 67-year-old defensive coordinator and asking Patrick to be passing game MacGyver coming off an ACL tear? I just don't see why you don't, especially when offense has been proven to be more consistent season over season than defense. I don't know why you don't pressure advantage like they did with the Legion of Zoom.
Well, I think I know why. The reason
because
is
of where the league's going.
Well, no, sure, but even where the Kansas City Chiefs have won their Super Bowls, you can make the case that two of the Super Bowls were defense defensive resource teams?
I mean,
like resources wise? I mean, because
not
you go to
rankings wise, but 2023 was a great defensive team.
23 was for sure defense. The one in 22 was balanced, but also I think balance is the key word probably in that was balanced. And it's not like they had great wide receivers in 22. That's when they moved on from Tyreek Hill. They had the first rounders in Karlaftis and McDuffie. Like that's to me where they saw the shift and go, oh, okay. So we won 2 balanced, but not offensive focused. And when we were offensive focused, you lose to the Patriots. Now, again, that was really early in Patrick's career, but the defense with Bob Sutton was atrocious, right? But there was something to that. The first one they won in 19 was definitely more offense focused, the defense, but they did their job in the playoffs as it went on, right? The defense started to really start gelling towards the end of the season. I think that's why we see this. Because the Chiefs and Veach probably think, hey, well, when we were all offense and sinking all these resources and Tyreek, we don't really have the Lombardis. Once we got more balance is when this team started to win consistently more into the playoffs. I think that's what the thought process would be. And maybe I'm wrong, but I think you look at that and then different. Joe Burrow's not Patrick Mahomes. Look what the Bengals have done. The Bengals this year is the first year they tried getting more balanced. Like this is the first year where I think the Bengals actually might be a decent team because they actually spent some resources on defense. But forever had been, hey, we're just going to go all offense. And how's that panned out for them? They played in a Super Bowl and lost. And what does the other playoff success or even making the playoffs look like? Like, I do think there's something to that.
I hear you. Burrow has also been hurt, and one of the last times he was healthy for a full season, even coming off an ACL injury, they made the Super Bowl. But they got lucky because they were kind of playing money ball with that defense, and they hit on a lot of veterans, and they hit on a Trey Hendrickson acquisition after he was kind of disappointing in New Orleans, or not, certainly not what he is now. And they had a great defensive coordinator. I think one of the things I like about the 2019 blueprint about the offense being a little bit more explosive and prolific is it allows a guy like Spags to be a little bit more aggressive. And if you're kind of dink and dunking and not manufacturing a lot of points, I think Spags has to be a little bit more conservative with when he's blitzing and what he's sending. And, I think if Patrick Mahomes is on the other end putting up fireworks, you feel comfortable getting very, very aggressive. The other thing I think that has me worried is a lot of the production with these receivers comes from kind of like backlot football. The second play, the breakdown of the first play, Patrick Mahomes extends plays, finds open receivers. I think Rashee Rice is good at that. Juju Smith-Schuster was good at that. Travis Kelce's been good. Like the Chiefs have really relied on that to be a staple of their offense. Coming off I mean, it wasn't just the ACL that was repaired; it was the LCL too, right? So, is Patrick Mahomes going to be able to extend plays? Now, hopefully, by the playoffs, that will be back. He'll be able to dip in that bag a little more. But if you take that away from the offense, and maybe Ken Walker is the antidote to that, maybe Ken Walker can kind of like replace some of that. But it just worries me because if you take that away from Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce with where they're at, I don't know. Let's pivot and look at pivots for the Chiefs. Let's look at what they could potentially do at this juncture because there's really no use crying over spilled milk. I think you and I both like to talk process on this show, and it's fun because I think sometimes someone can be right and have the wrong result and get unlucky, and someone can be wrong and get lucky and have the right result. And I'm sure some fans disagree with that and say all that matters is things working out. But it's about what's repeatable and what should be the long-term strategy here. So first of all, AJ Brown. I saw on Twitter today that somebody said that Albert Breer says the Chiefs are interested. Guys, sometimes you have to go to the source because what Albert Breer from Sports Illustrated actually said is he says he doesn't think the Chiefs are going to circle back on AJ Brown. And I would say that their history says a high paid aging wide receiver that they have to give up a first rounder for. There's just no freaking way Brett Veach is going to do that, right?
No, and the way that A.J. Brown played last year, you started to get a little concerned. I know Eagles fans were as well, especially the Eagles have been a winning organization, and he still complains. Like, they won a Super Bowl, and he still was like talking about how he wanted more targets. Like, you do want that alpha to an extent. I just don't see Andy Reid or even Patrick wanting to put up with that. Again, I think it's not just the player, it's what the resources you have to give up to acquire said player. Right. Like, it's not just A.J. Brown or no A.J. Brown. Well, yeah, you'll take A.J. Brown and you'll put up with a headache. Well, will you do it for $35 million a year and a first round draft pick given up? Well, probably not for a guy who looked like he lost a step, to be honest, last year. Like, I don't think you do. If you were going to go down that route, you'd probably go the cheaper option of like a Mike Evans, right? Or you'd go down a lesser player, but again, to the same point, I like Michael Pittman Jr. You could probably count on him staying more level versus a steeper drop off in the next couple of year or two from AJ Brown. Again, it's all hypothetical, but that Michael Pittman Jr. move is one that, because it's the one I've been wanting for years. I've been talking about Michael Pittman Jr. being a great Chief, make so much sense for years, and then you see what the compensation was, and it's just frustrating. It is frustrating.
It was an incredible deal. What I'll say about AJ Brown is he's never been in trouble off the field, and I get it with like AJ Pickens. Brown. Yeah. But the thing about AJ Brown is, I believe AJ Brown. Now last year he might have lost a step. We'll see, because Saquon Barkley also didn't look good last year. They had a horrific offensive coordinator last year after Kellen Moore went to New Orleans, and they have really been playing musical chairs with their offensive coordinators. I think that's affected the offense. They've also lost some offensive linemen, had some health issues there. But AJ Brown has been, like, if you look at the efficiency numbers and just use your eyes, he has been up there with Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and he's been stuck in run-first offenses. He has been carrying guys like Ryan Tannehill and Jalen Hurts on his back. What were the Eagles doing before A.J. Brown came to Philadelphia? They certainly weren't going to Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts was in danger of losing his job, right? So I think he's an incredible player. I think if he could ever be in a pass-first offense, he probably would be happy. The problem is those knees seem to be ticking time bombs. I love the player. I have for a long time. I just think when you look at compensation, age, just all the variables, I'm out, dog. And I'm even more out in bringing in, I just don't understand the logic of, you have an unreliable human in Rashee Rice, and the solution is to bring in Stephon Diggs or Tyreek Hill or Brandon Ayuk. Are you people out of your mind? Like, I know Stephon Diggs and Tyreek Hill have mostly been productive on the field, very productive, right? Even last year for Stephon Diggs, but they continuously have off the field problems. And these guys are Antonio Browns in waiting, because as their skills deteriorate, as their bodies fall apart, they're not going to be okay getting 4 targets a game. They never will be okay with that. It's not like you think AJ Brown wants the ball. These guys, I don't know. And Brandon Ayuk, like, the guy doesn't even show up, so I'm out on these guys.
I wouldn't touch Ayuk. I don't see it being a possibility. Stephon Diggs, I don't touch because of the, again, kind of similar thing is you're bringing in another guy who off the field situations. Tyreek Hill is more intriguing, I guess, just because he'd been in Kansas City obviously for a long time. I think him being back would be, you know how to deal with him. You know how to operate with him. You bring in Diggs or Ayuk, you don't know what you're getting into. You just have no idea. Diggs, I don't know. Diggs clearly wants to win. Like, I do think that's clearly like his number one priority. I honestly don't know if Diggs, and maybe he would. Maybe it doesn't matter. But part of me thinks that he probably just hates the Chiefs because of the Bills era. Like, he would just be like, I can't join them. Like, that's joining the dark side. Yeah.
You picture him standing out there after that loss, watching them celebrate winning an AFC championship. That picture that's become a meme. Yeah, I'm just, going back to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill probably isn't even going to be ready till at least halfway through the season. And these are Band-Aid moves. I want the Chiefs to think further, think more long-term. So I have some other possibilities. And the first one is the kind of like fallout from an AJ Brown to the Patriots trade. So it sounds like Kayshon Boutte is available for like maybe a 5th rounder. He's a pretty good player. I think this is a contract year for him. The Chiefs have had success bringing in receivers who didn't work out with the Patriots. We have Juju coming back. We have Tyquan Thornton. They don't always utilize wide receivers as well as they could. Also, Demario Douglas would be kind of a different look, kind of a little pop gun receiver, but another guy that could play in the slot and kind of like sponge up short targets from Patrick Mahomes. So we have those 2 options, and I'll throw 2 more options at you and then give you the floor. We have kind of failed first-round picks who could be good power slots in Kansas City potentially. You have Keon Coleman, who I think has been miscast as kind of a Mike Evans type X. I think he's more of a zone buster. And I think the same thing about Xavier Legette from the Carolina Panthers. I think those guys are like, if you trade places, if you go back to draft night, trade places and have, I mean, I know they're different years, but if you have Rashee Rice end up in one of those places trying to play outside instead of kind of this power slot role, does he have the same issues, right? So I think it's something to consider. Would Brandon Beane send Keon Coleman to Kansas City and see him work out in Kansas City? I doubt. They'd be calling for his head. So I kind of doubt it, especially when they kind of already traded the Chiefs for Keon Coleman in the first place with Worthy. But Xavier Legette, I think, would almost be free. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think Legette's probably him or Boutte would probably be I love Boutte. No, Xavier Legette, I liked him at the draft. I loved interviewing him. He's so fun. I would love him in KC just for his pressers, dude. He is so enjoyable and just funny, hilarious. The issue is
he's a country boy, right?
Very country. But the reason why he never really got a good shot. Like, he never got a chance in Carolina. They drafted Tedero McMillan, and who's the other guy they drafted that ended up becoming a Cowboy?
Mingo.
Like, they never gave Legette really a chance, and it's not like the quarterback play was ever any good. I think he would be a guy I would really enjoy targeting, because you're right. I don't think it would be expensive. But then I also, on the same token, would be saying, I like the move, but that doesn't really help the top end of your wide receiver room. I don't know if any of those guys help the top end of your wide receiver room. Keon Coleman, I don't know. I kind of see him as honestly, a lesser than MVS, a lesser than Quentin Johnston for the Chargers. I just don't see it with Keon. I wasn't super high of him coming out of college, so I don't want to be now. I was high on Legette coming out of college, by the way. I know it was a very late breakout for him, but like, he was dominant that final year.
Yeah, and I was very high on Jonathan Mingo, and that's another player the Carolina Panthers utilized wrong. He should have been closer to the line of scrimmage, kind of running those short, shallow routes and racking up yak, and they did not use either him or Legette like that, really. And I think they've mismanaged those type players. So I know Mingo hasn't worked out in Dallas, but he's been kind of buried there. Maybe I wasn't super high on Legette, but I think in a certain role, the athleticism is undeniable. Let's go rapid fire with, these are trade candidates. So I'm just going to throw names out. Let's hear your take. This one I don't really like as much because it's a Band-Aid, but Calvin Ridley from the Titans.
Out.
We know the Chiefs deal with the Titans, so wanted to throw that one out there because they have a friend.
For a lot of reasons out. Yeah, he just, no.
Jordan Addison, another kind of head case.
Yeah. Okay. So you go from one guy who got in trouble driving to another guy who got in trouble driving.
Jerry Jeudy, not one of my favorite players. I think he might be the most overrated player in the league, but he is available. He does have pedigree.
Yeah, I'd actually be really intrigued by Jerry Jeudy.
And his teammate Cedric Tillman. Remember, they drafted 2 receivers. They drafted Denzel Boston, and they drafted Casey Concepcion in Cleveland. They also have Harold Fannin, so he might be the odd man out. Cedric Tillman, decent player.
Jerry Jeudy would be more intriguing to me.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah,
not available, probably.
I don't know what to make of him. I always thought his pedigree. I think if Malik Neighbors would have had the different name, it'd have been Neighbors by a landslide. But the pedigree, I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is better than the numbers, better than the haters say he is, but he's not quite lived up to the hype, obviously. But you see glimpses that you go, okay, no, he's close to putting it together and being a 1,200 yard guy. The
Cardinals are such a poorly run franchise.
Yeah.
That I think betting against them and betting on guys that they've mismanaged is not a bad business to be in. I think it honestly is probably going to pay off for the Minnesota Vikings with Kyler Murray. I could be wrong, but I expect him to have a good year.
Agreed.
Brian Thomas Jr., they traded for Jacoby Myers. They have Parker Washington. They have Travis Hunter, who at first it came out that he was only going to play defense, but it sounds like actually the plan is still to use him on offense. So is he going to be available if he starts the season off still struggling and kind of maybe becomes the odd man out there?
It all depends on compensation. Like I feel like a lot of teams would be very in on Brian Thomas. The issue
for a 2, right?
No,
for 3.
I do 3 for sure. Okay. I think 2 I'm probably out on. He's been too inconsistent. I think you look at the rookie year and go, oh yeah. And then you go, oh, wait a minute. Why is he playing? Why is Parker Washington taking over his role in Jacksonville?
Right. I think Parker Washington's a pretty good player, but Brian Thomas Jr. looked like a superstar, right? But the interesting thing is most of that production when he really went off was with Mac Jones, not Trevor Lawrence. So it just might be an odd fit between quarterback and target. The aforementioned George Pickens, I'm not sure he's really available, but hey, I would have said it this time last year that I don't think Micah Parsons is available. And clearly he was. What's the price, though? That's the question. But at his age, it's a little bit more feasible. It's easier to stomach than like an A.J. Brown, even if he's not quite the same player.
You have to give him the contract or else it's going to be a head case. And I like Pickens. I think he gets a little bit of a bad rap. Talking with CeeDee Lamb at the Super Bowl, he said the most misunderstood player is George Pickens. And I thought it was fascinating. He goes, all he wants to do is win and play good ball and wants a place to, kind of call home and all this stuff. And yeah, but you'd have to turn around and immediately make him a very, very, very highly paid player. If you can stomach doing that, then the answer would be yes.
Last one for you. And this is, I think, contingent on the last year of Aaron Rodgers going south quickly. And the Steelers saying at the deadline, we have to quickly pivot to the future. DK Metcalf.
I mean, yeah, but will the Steelers ever do that?
Well, they're gonna try to accumulate draft capital to get a quarterback. So, and they have his contract gets to the point where it looks like you could do it. They have Michael Pittman now, so they might just say we need to finally find a quarterback. This is kind of this cycle we've been stuck in post Ben Roethlisberger is untenable. So I think it's possible if they start out poorly. And man, I don't have high hopes for this Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers reunion. So maybe I'll be wrong. The Steelers have a habit of overachieving while at the same time underachieving. So there you go. That's all we've got for you guys. If you dig Arrowhead Addict, here's how you can help our community grow. First off, subscribe here on YouTube. That way you never miss a show or short. Check us out on the socials, TikTok, Instagram, And of course, if you're an audio listener on Spotify or Apple, consider leaving a 5-star review. That will really help Sterling and myself and the rest of the gang out. Lastly, check out the mothership, arrowheadaddict.com. Matt Connor and the gang do a great job over there. We have no off season here at Arrowhead Addict and Fansided, so we will keep you covered all off season long. Join us live next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central right here on the Arrowhead Addict channel. Until then, go Chiefs.